Welcome back to part 2 of The Guilty Feminist. So plug in and get ready for the fun. Michele, how was your interval?
Oh, it's terrific. That was a really good interval. We should keep that one. We should do that all the time.
I had a sugar-free Red Bull. That's right. Ideally, you've been drinking alcohol because it's my job to be a little bit ahead of where you are. A little bit faster than you. Now, we have a very important question.
Yeah.
Michele, did Sam and Alex come up with a name for my PhD? Sam, yes or no?
Oh, yeah. You are the only Sam in the front row, so probably you.
It is Sam, isn't it? There was some debate at the back of whether it was Shane or Sam. It was Shane. I was right! Grace, I was right. It is Shane. Well, then why are you the authority? I was right in front of him.
I was certain
Everyone corrected me backstage and they were like, I was saying, oh, I've got to ask Shane and Alex. They were like, it's Sam. And everyone assured me I was gaslit into this position.
He looks like a Sam, though, doesn't he? Like Rebecca, just behind them, she looks like a Rachel. Yeah. See what I'm saying? See?
Is she a Rachel? Oh. What's the coincidence? Or you know her?
I don't know what's going on.
Shane, I knew it was Shane. Okay. Shane, yes or no, straight up, did you come up with a name for my hypothetical PhD? Alex was stressing about it. Alex, okay, we're going to give it... Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Give Alex the mic.
Let me lie down in front of you.
Michele. Okay, I think I'll need to take a picture of this.
Is my skirt up or is it okay?
Is this to me?
Okay. Ready?
Because I'm visually impaired.
No, I'm holding the microphone in front of you just for funsies. Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'm right here. I'm right here, Alex. I'm right here.
With the powers absolutely not vested in me, I'd like to give Deborah Frances-White this honorary doctorate for a thesis entitled Forget the Cosmos for Conservation, Prioritising Earth's Restoration over Planetary Exploration.
Smashed it. Wow. Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it.
I don't suppose you did one for me, did you?
This was...
It's all right. It's all right. No, that's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Can I ask, Alex, are you a big Grace Petrie fan? Because I saw you knew the words to her songs, even the new ones.
Singing along to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I am... not that I'm spying on audience members. That sounds like... I don't normally... I don't know if some of you will have seen who are over there, but I sat on the stage because I wanted to get a little bit of video because my social media manager was like, could you send me something I could make a reel out of? So now I'm crouching in a corner of my own stage, filming my own acts in an amateur way.
I love it. I think it's not... you're like a little I don't know what to say, really, but you're like a little doll on the side of the stage. In cars, you have a...
No.
You have yeah, you do. On the back shelf, you have a little doll just to give the car the right aura and energy. That's you on the side of the stage.
Like
you're just giving the room
in the back of a car.
That's
going
where
like
I realised I was going.
It's very much how I like to see my function at the Guilty Feminist. The noddy dog at the back of the car.
I know. I start with a metaphor, and I realise I've just fucked it up.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very thrilled. Did anybody meet anyone in the interval? First of all, did anyone see anyone they didn't know was here but they recognised? Give us a cheer. Yes. Who did you see that you weren't expecting to see? You? Yes, yeah, you'll do, absolutely. So you saw 3 friends. I think it's the social event of the year, the Guilty Feminist in Auckland. For feminists, I think people come and they go, were you there, blah, blah, blah. I think we need a society photographer out the front. Like, do you have a feminist society pages?
Not feminist one, no.
There's no feminist Vogue here. No, there should be. You agree? Yeah, I think we should have. Absolutely. Did anyone meet anyone they didn't already know and go into some kind of coven with them? I like this. I love a coven where, new people meet each other.
I love covens. I belong to at least 2 of them, and I've already mentioned this in Christchurch, we bleed chooks, but let's not go into too much detail about that.
I've got several WhatsApp groups named the something coven, and that's when a bunch of women or people of minority genders come together and plan.
Yeah.
No one needs to know what we're planning about.
No.
It's a secret plan.
Yeah.
But it's...
And bleed things, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where we use an encrypted source. So as you're leaving here tonight, try and meet somebody else and, start some kind of mini coven.
For example, 3 friends. I don't think I've got 3 friends. Have I got 3 friends? Yeah, you're just saying that.
All right, it's time to get our guests on, but before that, have you got anything feminist that you would like to tell us about that's coming up?
Oh, I do. Gosh, there was a moment where I went, I don't know what you mean. Yes, I do. I have been producing a show since 2016 called Feminists Are Funny. And we're doing another one this year on the 9th of June. It's a fundraiser for the Auckland Women's Centre, which is the most amazing place where women can go for legal advice and workshops and all kinds of support and counselling, and they're just the finest place in the world, and they don't get any government funding anymore, so we try and raise the money for that. So 9th of June at the Classic, 7 p.m. It's a Sunday. We'll get you home in time for getting the kids off to school in the morning if you've yuck children. Anyway, so please do buy a ticket for that.
Excellent. Feminists Are Funny. Give it a Google, buy a ticket. Buy a ticket for a friend for a present. Buy tickets for everyone for Christmas.
You have to buy 4 tickets because you've got 3 friends.
Excellent. Yeah. Shane, this is something you could do for feminism. What have you done for feminism? How have you carbon offset working in defence lately? You need to buy all of the tickets.
Yes, correct.
And then give them to people. Don't buy them all and then not show up, because that's what trolls do. Buy them all and distribute them, Shane. Excellent.
Be great.
Apart from anything else, you outsourced the labour of coming up with the name of my PhD to Alex. You went, no, I didn't. She was really stressing about it. I just watched. That's what he said. All right. Is it time for our guests?
Yes, I'd love that.
Ahem.
This is good. I like the way you build the anticipation.
Or feel free to busk and fill in the silence while I'm finding my clipboard.
It's a mime.
Our first guest today is somebody you've already met tonight. She grew up without electricity on a primitive hippie commune. That's what it says here. I'm not saying that about her. She asked me to say that. That's on the clipboard. Formed after the 1973 Aquarius Festival in Nimbin, Australia. Do you know Nimbin? Is it famous here? I grew up near there, so I know it very well. She now calls Queenstown and New Zealand home. You've already heard some of her poetry tonight, based on Real Reader Stories, which she has published under the title of the Her Story Project. Please welcome to the stage the incredible Julia Střelou. Come take a seat, Julia.
Hello, ladies.
Yeah, hello. And
Auckland.
We have a second guest today. Our second guest is an esteemed Māori Pacifica creative, storyteller, strategist, writer, producer and award-winning journalist. She is the creator of Nuku, a movement championing Indigenous women and reclaiming Indigenous women as knowledge and identity in the wake of colonisation through podcast, video and live events. She is the author of 2022 Ockham New Zealand Book Awards shortlisted Nuku, Stories of 100 Indigenous Women. With a passion for Indigenous rights, knowledge and systems, her diverse work has spanned the topics of land, women, culture and identity. It has seen her receive a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit for services to the arts in 2023, named as New Zealand Women of Influence Arts and Culture 2022, and won both a Qantas Media Award as well as the 2018 New Zealand Geographic Pro Gear Photo Story of the Year Award. I think we found the person who really needs the honorary doctorate, and it's neither of us, babe. It's neither of us.
Can you work on that one while she's here?
Yeah, no, it's neither of us, because this the Photo Story of the Year Award was for her social documentary series about the campaign to protect ancestral lands.
Yeah.
We should both get doctorates and give them to her.
Both, yeah, absolutely.
If we get anything honorary now at all.
Yes.
Or even a goodie bag at a festival or something.
We're going to give them to, goodie bags to
Qiane.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to... there's some chips downstairs too, left over from...
Basically, if she likes these shoes, she should have them. Please, welcome to the stage, the incredible Qiane Matata-Sipu. Wow. So both of you are doing incredible things with letting women take their own narrative, their own story, and you're sort of the embodiment of people who are collecting stories, collating stories, platforming women's stories. It's really impressive what you're both doing, and you're both pretty local. You're just here doing your thing.
I'm on the other side of the bridge, so it's not very local.
Qiane's been very clear about that. She was like, I don't think there'll be many people from my area here. And I said, no. I said, people come from all over Auckland. She went, no, they won't. They won't cross the bridge, she said. I said, even for feminism? And she went, no.
Let's find out. Mangere represent? Yeah.
Look, here they are. They've
two.
come over the bridge for you. Have you come over the bridge for Qiane or for Guild? Look, there's somebody who's come over the bridge for you. You didn't think it was possible.
Thank you.
They've travelled. They've absolutely travelled. Would you come over the bridge for anything else? Is this the first time you've been over the bridge in years? Since the last time we were at the Bruce Mason. Yeah, that's been confirmed. I do feel the Bruce Mason on our nights should slightly just change its name. Who was Bruce Mason?
He's a playwright. He wrote The End of the Golden Weather, which is a beautiful New Zealand play set on the beach just on the other side of this building.
Oh, not on the other side of the bridge.
No, it's on this side of the bridge.
Yeah, he's a North Shore guy.
Yeah.
Is he a North Shore white guy?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a building named after him.
Yeah, he's a North Shore white guy. Yeah, absolutely. But listen, we know that the stories that are traditionally told and buildings are named after tend not to be Māori and Pacifica women. So is this what inspired you to start Nuku? Was that something that inspired you, that you felt these stories weren't being told?
Just being sick of white guys. Yep.
I mean, not so much that, but just sort of needing a platform and a space more.
Yeah, most definitely. When we look at the narratives that are in our society at the moment, when we look at who's on TV, although we do have some beautiful brown women on TV these days, when we think about who on Waitangi Day, they ask for an opinion, and it's Don Brash sometimes, often. Another white guy, a bit closer to this side of Auckland. And I was over it, and I wanted to amplify the voices of our kick-ass Indigenous wahine doing things differently, because why not? We're amazing.
Can I ask one question? Because Nuku is the most beautiful book, 100 women's stories in there, and you've done the photographs as well as the words, and it's just stunning. What do you have to do? So, some of those stories are about trauma. What can you do to make the storytelling safe for the women, so it's not about re-experiencing the trauma that they're talking about?
One of the things that I've been adamant about through the entire kaupapa of Nuku, through the entire project, is story sovereignty, and ensuring that those women feel safe to share their stories their way in their rawest form. And they're not going to be censored, they're not going to be told what they can or can't say, or how many fucks they're going to add into the conversation. And that has really shown the power of when you give someone story sovereignty, how they then use that and what they can then say about it. And this year we've been really lucky to start a research project that looks at how, when you put the right environment around Indigenous women, they are able to share their stories in a way that become healing for them, but also healing for others. And we've found that through the Nuku project, where people message and say, this person's story saved my life, this person's story has changed my life, this person's story has inspired me to do all of these other things. And it's really special when you get to foster an environment like that.
Can you tell us about the focus of Nuku this year? It's a research project looking at how the narratives of Indigenous women, it's like translated to healing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yep, so the kupu, or the word, is rongoa. And often when we think of the word rongoa in a New Zealand Aotearoa context, we think of plant medicine, but actually rongoa is this conversation. It's touch, it's hugging. It was that kind of touch too. But it's all of the things that make us feel whole and empowered. And what I found through Nuku is that so many women my age, older than me, my mother is number 100, especially Indigenous women that live in a colonised world where Western values are prioritised, they suffer from not enoughness. I think lots of women, regardless of your ethnic background, suffer from the idea of not enough. There's the intergenerational trauma that comes with that. There's the loss of identity around language. And when we look at how our narratives and the kinds of stories and experiences we're sharing can actually help someone through that, that's really powerful. You know, inspiring people to go back to school to learn their language, inspiring women or motivating women to understand their tikanga, their practices, their Indigenous knowledge and systems, and the importance of those in this world because they've been squashed for so long. So resurging that, amplifying that, promoting that, championing that, and unapologetically throwing it in the face of anybody else so that we can grow an army of kick-ass women who are empowered to be who they are and are healed so that our tamariki and our mokopuna, our children and grandchildren can grow up like my child who is kicking doors down at 6 years old because she's so empowered in her identity as an Indigenous woman.
You told us backstage about the origin of your daughter's name, and I don't know if that's maybe something you wanted. I don't know. Didn't ask you if it was okay to talk about on the stage.
Yep.
But I really loved what you said about it, and about not making it easy for other people. Can you just tell us about your daughter's name?
Yeah. So her first name is Hayata Te Kapua. It's 3 words. People stumble over it every single time. And in English, it translates to, or it comes from a longer sentence, which is Kaputa mai te hayata ki ngā kapua pauri, which is the beam of light that broke through the clouds of darkness. My husband and I were together 14 years, had gone through 6 years of infertility, and then this child was born miraculously and was also born a year after my nana died. So that name is significant. It's a really significant moment in our life, in her life, and it's also after 2 matriarchs in our whānau. So we don't shorten her name, and people come up to her and they say, "What's your name?" And she says, "Hayata Te Kapua." And they say, "What do your parents call you?" And she goes, "Hayata Te Kapua." And what's your nickname? And then she rattles off her entire name, which only just fits on a passport because it is 6 words. And I won't say it because I won't give you the whole name, but it's powerful. It's powerful to give your children names that reflect their identity, their whakapapa. There's this beautiful Māori musician called Maisie Dika who has a waiata where the lyrics are, "I give you a name of your tupuna, of your ancestor, so you will know who you are. I give you the name of your pepeha, which is how you connect to the land, so you'll always know where you're from." And I love that people have to stumble over my daughter's name because it forces them to learn what that name is, what that name means, and we will never apologise or shorten it to make it feel better in someone else's mouth.
It's wonderful. I really love that. I love how poetical it is. It's so poetical. That rootedness to ancestry, to the land, to community. There are so many values sitting in what you're doing in her name. And the way you described her backstage as well, you said she really knows who she is and she's very rooted and connected and you know, therefore able to kind of fly. And I think that's an extraordinary thing. And I love that value set. I really, really love that value set. It feels so, as you said, like just all women can learn from it, that not worrying about inconveniencing someone else or not being enough for somebody else or making yourself smaller. It's so interesting. They say, what do your parents call you? What's your nickname? He's basically saying, how can you make yourself smaller? How do you make yourself shorter for us? How can you make yourself easier for me? And the answer is, I can't and I won't. So beautiful.
That's amazing.
It's really lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, really beautiful.
And powerful more than that.
Hello, it's Abigail Shaman, host of Global Pillage, and we have another great show coming to you. June 17th, 7:30 p.m. at King's Place. We have a fabulous lineup of comedy panelists, but we need you, the hive mind, the audience. So get tickets at kingsplace.co.uk. Come see Global Pillage. It's like a comedy panel show on TV, but we let women play.
Take a second and think back to the sex education you had in school. Did it prepare you to have a healthy and happy relationship with sex and identity? If it was anything like mine, it was stigmatizing, judgmental, and totally unhelpful. But not to worry. The experts are here to offer the sex ed we wish we had. Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. We're a feminist podcast and multimedia platform bringing you all the sex ed you never got through unique and entertaining storytelling, centering LGBTQ and BIPOC experts. We cover an array of sex education topics like abortion, period management, sex and disability, pleasure, reproductive justice, healthy relationships, BDSM, birth control, sex in the media, and so much more. We believe that everyone deserves comprehensive, inclusive, pleasure-centered, medically accurate sex education. Follow along with us as we revolutionize the way we talk about sex, and tune into Sex Ed with DB wherever you get your podcasts.
Julia, can I ask you about your poetry? Sorry, I just did the thing. Because when listening to Qiane talking makes me think about your poetry, which is also about healing. How does telling your stories in poetry heal you, and how has your work grown as you've grown?
Yeah, so I grew up with a mother who was a poet. She was a slam poet, and she used to drive us around in her old 70s Ford Falcon, and me and my sister would sleep in the back while she did slam poetry. And as Deborah said, we didn't have electricity and barely had walls. We didn't have running hot water on the commune, so we didn't have much. And I used to always be like, I will never be a poet. I think I used to say it to Mum, I never want to be a poet like you. Because I thought I wasn't going to have walls if I was a poet.
Fair.
Electricity. Yeah, it actually is. Actually is a fair point. But I guess it was just in me. And about over 10 years ago now, I was noticing this rise of male Instagram poets. And they were really popular from giving women romantic advice. And I thought, surely, as a woman, I can do this better.
And how did it feel when you couldn't?
Subjectively, I can, but, some of them are probably still doing better than me.
I obviously am joking. Go on.
I have walls, guys, so...
Yeah. Don't mean to brag.
I've made it as a poet. But when I did first start posting on Instagram, I actually didn't post advice. At that point, I'd just come out of an abusive relationship, and I had my jaw broken by my partner, actually.
Oh, my God.
But the crazy thing was, I still thought I was in love with him. So I actually used the Instagram, as many domestic violence survivors go through similar things. So I use the Instagram as this outlet to post poems about unrequited love and toxic love, which I'm quite ashamed of now. But turns out that heaps of people related, and my following grew. And as I grew, my poetry changed, and I wrote about healing as I healed, and I wrote about empowerment and female empowerment as I experienced those things. And that's where I am now. Yeah. So I'm just... Thanks.
And we've heard some of your poems. Now, when people submit stories, they know you're going to turn it into a poem. Yeah. And are they doing that because they want to privately submit a story and see it become a poem that's released into society so other people can glean something from it, but they don't actually necessarily feel that they want to make art out of their trauma, or they're not an artist, or they want to remain anonymous. What's that interaction like?
Yeah, so in her story, some of them did remain anonymous, but her story was just a one-off. It was after COVID, and I just had this spontaneous idea. I do have ADHD, and anyone else who has it will know that you have these ideas, and you're like, I'm going to do it. And I did it.
I find it very difficult to relate to having too many ideas and then not enough time and overcommitting to them and then saying, yeah, sure. I will tell you that I have a book, the revisions of my book due in tomorrow, but I forgot I was on New Zealand time, so I will be working all night tonight, and I will be flying to Wellington in the morning. It'll be fine. I'll be running on adrenaline. Well, tell your friends to come to Wellington. It'll be a riot show.
I feel you.
So with the ADHD, you took on this big job of compiling other people's stories that they needed to get out and turning them into art.
Yeah, so I noticed that women would message me a lot of the time, and they'd say that my words gave them some form of healing. So I had a woman in Afghanistan once message me and tell me my poetry was getting her through the war. And God. I know, I thought this was crazy. I thought it was crazy. And women in Italy during COVID, or a woman, told me my poetry was getting her through the COVID lockdown. So this kind of stuff, I was like, how could I give back more to my audience on a larger scale? And that was when I had the ADHD idea. And I put a call out on my Instagram, and I said, I'd love to turn your stories into poems if you've experienced trauma, or found healing or heartbreak and would like to share it and have it turned into a poem, send me a DM or an email. And by the next day's cutoff, I had over 200 stories, and wow. And then I was like, shit, now I've got to turn these all into poems. And it was really tough, to be honest, because as you heard some of the poems, these women had experienced a range of traumas. There was physical abuse, sexual assault, miscarriages, suicides, and to write poetry, I had to try and feel what they might have felt. Yeah.
How do you protect yourself from that?
I didn't. I was on the ground crying. Yeah. I was on the floor crying. Even when I practiced reading some of those poems, I almost cried reading them because I was trying to imagine what that woman might have felt. But by the time I stood up for you guys, I'd managed to shut that off because we couldn't have me crying.
You told me just before the show you'd never performed your poetry before. That's the first time tonight she'd ever performed it. Isn't that incredible? Listen, you promised as a child you'd never be a slam poet, but slam poetry found you.
I know, it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, but you should perform it. You're a fantastic performer.
Oh, thank you. It's in my blood.
Yeah. Your mum presumably be very proud of you doing that.
She's also an ardent feminist, so...
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Well, you must send her this episode. Does she still live in Nimbin?
She still lives in Nimbin. She lives in the commune. She still lives in the house without electricity, so she probably doesn't listen to the Guilty Feminist. But
because she doesn't have any electricity or Wi-Fi.
I can't even call her, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's... she's probably happier than any of us, let's be honest. She just no electricity, no Wi-Fi. Can you imagine? I mean... It would be amazing and also terrible, but I can't decide what it would be. But I found it interesting that you say that women writing in and saying you were getting them through, traumatic things, which really brings me back to what we were talking about before, Qiane, with you. How do the narratives of Indigenous women that you're compiling and you're platforming, do they add to our personal and collective well-being in the same way that you're hearing that Julia's poetry and sharing women's stories do?
Yeah, of course. I think just women in general, when we share with each other, we realise we're not alone. And so our lived experiences become part of our collective well-being in the sharing of those lived experiences. I think a lot of people maybe see successful women or famous women and think that they haven't experienced something that they have. And when they find out they do, there's a switch that changes inside of them. It's so important to share. It's so important to talk about miscarriage and suicide and infertility and all of these things that are apparently taboo and we're not allowed to talk about. I don't know why, because men find it gross. Fuck them. But, you know, like these... Thank you. Sorry, Shane.
Not all men. I'm sure Shane doesn't feel like that. You don't feel like that, do you, Shane? No. And if you do, you're wise enough to say no. So that's the same.
But, you know, it is so much about that. And it's that intergenerational wisdom and sharing. You know, so often I grew up with my grandmother. So I was really privileged. I had my grandmother, I had my mother. You know, I didn't grow up in a commune, but it probably felt like a commune. I grew up in a Qiane where we're all related and live in the same street. So it's same, except we have electricity. And, you know, just that intergenerational wisdom is so important to your well-being. Sitting around having a cup of tea and a conversation about the real world and not looking at your phone and having FOMO because someone else has got a nicer dinner than you. Good luck to your mum. She doesn't have any FOMO, you know. But these things are they're the tools of well-being that we've just forgotten about.
Yeah,
we're sitting on our phone going, I've got to follow this well-being Instagram account.
I really need some self-care.
This Calm app, this, you know, all of these things that are kind of here. And there's our partner or our mum or our granny or our sister, our neighbour who we haven't got to know, or somebody we met here at the show that we haven't bothered contacting and getting together with. And actually well-being is in connection, and the disconnection and the kind of faux connection. That's not to say, you know, your Instagram account has helped people, and, you know, this is a podcast, that's on the internet. So it's not to say it can't help us, it can, but if we stay with that and we don't leave it and then connect in the real world.
Because what the patriarchy wants more than anything is isolation, right? That's the whole way that the patriarchy manages to operate, is to separate women and gender minorities from the rest of the world. So keep you at home, keep you away, stop you from connecting with each other and telling each other your stories, and organising the revolution to overthrow them in some degree of violence. I don't know.
Yes. Can I ask you, Julia, since her story, you've spoken publicly about your experiences with domestic violence, and you founded the Inspirational Women Awards, which is an event designed to empower New Zealand's wahine while raising awareness around domestic violence. Yep. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired this event and what's come out of it?
Sure. The first thing that inspired it, when I was growing up, I was obsessed with Tintin. Do you know who Tintin is?
Yeah.
So he's a comic book spy.
Sure.
And like Sean. So like Sean?
Very similar to Sean.
Yeah.
Shane. Yeah. This poor man's name is Shane. It's not Sam, it's not Sean, it's Shane. I mean...
Let's just go back to calling him Sam.
No,
it was
his
easier.
name is Shane. He's come in here. He's sat in the front row. He's trying his best.
I actually really want to know what's your Indigenous name.
That's legally your name.
Which one? Oh, sorry.
Okay, so back to Tintin, right?
Back to Tintin.
Who is like Shane. And my mother saw that I was idolising Tintin, who was a man. And as I said, she was an ardent feminist, and she saw her daughter idolising a man. I know, shock horror, a man, just like Shane. And she wasn't happy because she wanted me to have female role models. So she went as far as to read a fake scene into one of the comic books where Tintin confesses his greatest disguise. He's really a woman. It's actually happened. And Mum forgot to fill me in on this little fib. So I went around through my life telling everyone, oh, you know, Tintin's really a girl. You know that scene when he tells Captain Haddock, like, do you know that one? Turns out no one knew. Years later, I learned the truth, and I was devastated, but I suppose I should be grateful because empowering female leaders, female wahine, became important to me. And that is the first reason that inspired the Inspirational Woman Awards, is this instilled need
your
to
mother
empower
gaslit
women.
you about Tintin?
Yeah.
I get that. I totally get that. I sort of think, I know lots of people that alter their children's books, or they change the pronouns when they're reading to small children. It's like, and they, the book says the chicken did this and he, or the dog did this and he, and then they're like, well, firstly, a chicken is pretty much always a she, and secondly, this dog, why does the dog always have to be a boy? And they just alter things. I've never heard of anybody like drawing Tintin and then slipping it into the book, but I admire her.
She was reading the book, so I wasn't actually looking at it.
Oh, I see.
I thought it was the Red Sea Sharks. If you know Tintin, you'll know that book. But the second reason why I started this event is much more somber. It's the devastating statistics around domestic violence that darken our beautiful country and the world. For those of you who don't know, 1 in 3 New Zealand women have experienced domestic violence, and police respond to a domestic violence call here on average every 3 minutes. You may have seen in the Australian news that 35 women were killed in the last year by their intimate or previously intimate partner. And this is not just Australia and New Zealand, because I know you've got a global audience. This is globally 40% of female murders are committed by their previous or currently intimate partner. And I found myself in 3 abusive relationships in my life, one after the other, bang, bang, bang. And when I came out of all of that, went through my healing process, through my poetry, I felt like I needed to do more. I did the Her Story book. I donate 10% of all of my profits to the Women's Refuge from those books that I sell, but I felt like that wasn't enough. So, another ADHD thing. I emailed the Women's Refuge and said, hey, I've got this idea. It was probably like 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, I want to do this event, the Inspirational Woman Awards. Can I work with you and, do an auction and give all the money to you guys? And then they emailed back and said, let's have a Zoom. And I was like, oh shit. And I felt physically ill with nerves, but it's now in its 3rd year. Started in Queenstown. It's now national. So thank you. And so far we've raised $50,000 for the Women's Refuge. So I hope that after this year's event we can raise more.
Wonderful. Do you need any help with that? Or is there anything else you'd like our audience to get involved with, send you, raise for you, connect with you?
So I'll tell you what you can do. You can nominate an inspirational wahine if you know one, and I'm sure that all of you are one or know one. There's who's an inspirational wahine in here? Look, typical.
I know.
Yeah.
It's also,
who knows an inspirational wahine?
Yes, who knows an inspirational woman? That's it.
So you can nominate an inspirational wahine, or you can buy tickets. It is in Queenstown, so you would have to travel to Queenstown, but it's worth it for domestic violence.
Yuck. No one wants to go to Queenstown. It's yuck. It's actually quite lovely. Sorry.
So you can nominate somebody.
You can nominate, and then if you do buy a ticket and come to the event.
And could you also donate an auction lot so that you can raise money for the refuge?
Yes, so we've got some cool prizes. We've got a jersey signed by Richie McCaw we're going to auction off. We've got a picture of Patty Gower that says, this is the fucking news, the Women's Refuge. Yeah, Patty.
Okay, so if you've got anything to donate, or you would like to bid in the auction, or you'd like to nominate somebody for these awards, then please, where do we go? What's the URL?
www.inspirationalwomanawards.org.
Inspirationalwomanawards.org. So connect in with that and somehow or other get involved. Can I ask you, Qiane, what is it that we can do for you?
You just give me money.
Shane, you must get paid quite a bit. You put something on Mars, so I can't imagine they don't pay you for that. I feel like Qiane could use some of that cash, and it would make you feel good.
I could do wonders with that cash.
Wonders with that cash, Shane. So you heard it here.
No, I guess so. One of the things is that Nuku is a not-for-profit social enterprise, and everything that we do, everything we sell, which is sometimes not these earrings, but earrings and books and really cool bibs that says "My Mama is a kick-ass Indigenous wahine," or "My Nana," or "My whoever you want it to be." That all gets invested back into Nuku to be able to create more and interview more people and do live events and those sorts of things. And this year I've started writing children's books because, as I said, women in their adulthood are searching for the connection to their culture, to knowledge and systems. And so I thought, you know what, let's teach our tamariki these things. Let's teach our children. And so I've got a book coming out on the 1st of June. It's being launched at the Auckland Museum.
What's it called so we can look out for it?
So it's called Ngā Kupenga a Nanirina, and the English translation is called Nanirina's Amazing Nets, and the main character is Hayata Te Kapua.
Hey!
Because, of course, I want to normalise long names in children's books. But it's all about matariki, so it's all about the Māori New Year, and it's about how our stars, whichever star is shining the brightest, connects to a part of our environment, and then what kind of net you make to catch the food that grows in that part of the environment, to have a hautapu ceremony to celebrate the new year. So there's this layers and layers of knowledge of mātauranga in there. You can buy it directly from our website, nukuwoman.co.nz, and all of the profits that get made off the kids' book gets invested back in to write more kids' books so that we can share more what I call mātauranga o te wahine, which is women's knowledge for our children, but also for everybody, because I write them in te reo Māori first, and then I translate them into English, so you can learn te reo Māori, you can learn mātauranga Māori, you can just have a great story, you can invest in the kaupapa. There's so many things you could do. So I just give you all the options.
I'm going to get it in both languages. I'm going to get it in both languages because I want to get better at being able to pronounce words and know more words. The more I come back to Aotearoa, and I am so honoured to have you both on today. Could I have a big round of applause for Julia Střelou? And can I have a big, big round of applause for Qiane? Qiane Matata-Sipu, everybody. Get involved with Nuku and get involved with the Inspirational Women Awards. And now, to close our show, please welcome back to the stage the incredible Grace Petrie.
Hello, is anybody in love? Cool. Me too. I got engaged last year. Thank you very much. I actually got engaged 1 year ago today. So I know, and I'm over here. She's over there. So the least I can do is sing a song about her. Is what I think. It's a funny thing being in love. I'm nearly 37. I've been in love many times. I thought I'd been in love many times before, and then I fell in love for real. And I know the difference because I'm very anxious all the time in a way that I never was before. I have a lot of existential anxiety. And this is a song about that. It's called If I Were to Outlive You. I know. Please triple check the traffic before stepping from the edge. Please never miss a smear test. Please get organic veg. Please never eat a mouthful of something that's expired. Please never swim in riptides Please never drive too tired. Please never go exploring unstable mountainsides or hastily constructed travelling fairground rides. Please never take a plane ride unless I'm by your side, or sail in stormy weather unless we are together. Please treat yourself with caution, befitting what you're worth, and know beyond a question you're the most precious thing on earth. 'Cause if I were to outlive you, I'd never forgive you. Yeah, if I were to outlive you, then darling, take me with you.
Thank you so much. See you soon. Good night. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Francis-White, guest co-host Michele A. Fort, and our very special guests, Střelou and Qiane Matata-Sipu, with music by Grace Petrie. The recording engineer was Jess Spence. The theme tune was by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Silinsky for the Spontaneity Shot. Thanks to Kylie Jackson, Lindsay Clements, everyone at Bone Presents, and everyone at Bruce Mason Centre, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com. Live from Bruce Mason Centre. Is it Bruce Mason Centre or the Bruce Mason Centre? Just straight into Bruce.
Yeah, we call it the BMC. So, I'm chucking that
I'm going to say the.
Chucking that in. The Bruce Mason Centre.
Okay, live, because it seems a bit live from Bruce. It just feels a bit.
Feels a bit.
It's a bit Kiwi.
It's a bit.
Isn't it? It's all right.
Biological, isn't it? It's
yeah.
a bit. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say Kiwi in a bad way. I just mean it's a bit. It's on brand, is what I'm saying. I'm gonna go without the because that's what's on my clipboard. The Guilty Feminist is provided exclusively from Acast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.